Fellow human, what'll happen if you start training movement for 6 months? You're gonna unlock a lot of different skills, and it's very common for folks to learn all kinds of new strength and skill and develop greater athletic longevity. And you may learn one, some, or all of the moves that I'm gonna go through with you today. But here's the thing, here's the main point and the main takeaway that I want you to get from this video, and that is this: that all of the moves that you'll learn, all the strength that you develop, all of the sweet moves that you're gonna gain really are evidence of something else. They're evidence of an inward change. They're evidence of your neurological system and your whole body transforming. And what you gain on top of all of that by being able to do movement like this and like what I'm gonna show you today are things like just feeling better, having better energy, of course the strength and the ability to have freedom of movement and power, but you just feel so much better and you have that sense of freedom. And one of the most important things, confidence. So let's talk about the first one. And this is kind of typical for people that come in, maybe they have a little bit of an athletic background, they're maybe a professional, high performance career. One of the first things that people start to develop, and one of the goals, is a pull-up. And so how does that relate to movement? Because that's very linear, that's straight up and down. Here's the thing, number one, you're not sitting down doing rows or holding the barbell stationary and doing bent over rows, or sitting down and doing the lat pull down machine. No, you're actually moving your whole body and you're using your upper body to generate that movement. So that's just the first part of this, okay? So a pull-up, you may get your pull-up back, or you may get your first one that you've ever built in your life, depending on other factors like body composition, nutrition, lifestyle, etc. But back to the training here. So a pull-up, and that may turn into coming all the way up over the bar with a pullover. That's very common for people, especially 30s, 40s, 50s. Like I said, professionals, maybe they used to be athletic, but oftentimes it's really fun for them to experience getting up over the bar like this. And then once they're up here, then they can start training their dips on the straight bar, then holding the L, then coming down through, then hitting those negative muscle-ups, wipers, and so on. And that sequence was actually from a kata, as we call them, in the ninja strength component of Powerbatics. So that's the first thing. So just kind of starting up on the bar, looking at hanging, and let me go through that sequence for you so you can kind of see and start to unpack what the training can accomplish for you if you just train movement, just moving your own body through space. And we'll get to something without the equipment, without the hanging apparatus. And we'll go over to the floor in a minute, but let's run through this sequence again. So as we come over to more open floor space, we'll get into another aspect of training that a lot of folks start to develop actually really quickly within the first couple of weeks of training. And that is this, being able to hold and stabilize yourself with your hands and your upper body. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I mean handstand training. And that's how we measure pushing strength, as a matter of fact, handstands on demand from all angles. And so we've got a lot of different folks from a lot of different ranges of ability that come into training. Maybe they're former or future Olympians, all the way to raw beginners, or they were pro athletes, or they're CEOs or entrepreneurs or pilots or attorneys, all different types of backgrounds, and all over the world too. But what we're doing is we're training to build the control and the strength and the skill and the athletic longevity. And again, the main thing is for confidence, so that you have confidence, and it gives you so much more and opens up so many portals for life. So instead of just heaving yourself over into a handstand, what often happens. What we're gonna do is take away all of those variables of momentum and all those chances for things to go awry. And we're gonna start in a lunge like this here with the hands down on the ground. It kind of resembles a runner's lunge on the blocks, ready to take off for a sprint. And then what we do is we make these legs nice and straight, and then we lift that leg and it starts to pull that foot off the ground. As we do that and we get better and better at these with time under tension in the shoulders, then it might just click and stick here. And we can start training handstands like that. But again, pull-ups, handstands, actually very one-dimensional. Not a whole lot of sophisticated movement involved, but it is movement, and it is learning how to control your body in space, as opposed to always moving and lifting other things or sitting down and doing sedentary exercises with machines or other things like that. So now as we take this a step further, we're gonna start linking this into flowing movement. And again, these are things that people start to develop after just a couple of weeks of training. And by 6 months of training, then you're really locked in and you understand your body again, you understand how to build the strength and how to build movement. And so here we go. We step back and then we come to this stick position that's so critical for all of your athletic positions and landings. We always want to have an entry point and an exit point, but this is our stick position and then a roll to a stick position. And that front roll there is another piece of the puzzle that people start to be able to put together. So coming out of that roll, we're going here and then we're going into a tuck jump. Again, another piece of movement, athletic movement, that requires compression strength of the core to fold up into that position, and then dynamic but also aware legs that can sense the ground and catch you and be supportive right underneath you. And then coming back to a horse stance, we use these horse stances. And then another move that people often get back, and this is a fun one, you might have done this when you were a kid, is a cartwheel. And landing again solid and stable and confident. So after that cartwheel, we come back to this stick position again. You see, all these stances, all these things are working together. We're not just doing sets and reps, we're linking them with transitions. So then we come down here, we put a hand on the ground into a kind of a one-arm table sort of position, but then we're gonna reach back over, and that's called a Valdez. And this is just a little dyna combo within a larger kata, just for level 1 of free run. So let's go through this. So if you want to start training movement and gain the strength, the skill, the athletic longevity, and what's more, the confidence of training this way and building body mastery, go ahead and apply for training. And I'll see you in the next video and in training soon.